Hi there, I am Jatin Shah and I have a story to tell you about the wild world of healthcare marketing in India. For 12 years, I have been in the trenches, working with all sorts of healthcare companies, seeing the good, the bad, and the downright crazy when it comes to how doctors can and cannot advertise their services. Now, you might be thinking, why should I care about doctors advertising? Well, let me tell you, this isn't just some boring set of rules. This is the very heart of healthcare in India. It's about trust, integrity, and doing right by the people who needs medical care. In this video, we are going to dive deep into the ethical advertising regulations for doctors in India. But don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with legal jargon. We are here to break it down in a simple, straightforward manner with a touch of revolution. We will explore everything from big regulatory bodies calling the shots to the nitty gritty of what doctors can actually say in their ads. We will look at the penalty for breaking the rules and we will even peek into the crystal ball to see what the future might hold. So, buckle up. We are about to take a journey through the fascinating, complex, and sometimes downright baffling world of medical advertising in India. And trust me, by the end of this, you will never look at the doctor's signboard in the same way again. Ready to change the world of healthcare communication? Let's dive in. In India, we have a robust system to ensure that doctors maintain the highest level of ethical standards in their advertising practices. Let's break it down. Medical Council of India. The MCI is the guardian of medical ethics in our country. They set the tone for how doctors should conduct themselves, including in their advertising practices. It was established in 1934. They set the standards for medical education and practices and oversee registration of medical practitioners. Indian Medical Council, Professional Conduct, Etiquette and Ethics Regulation 2002. This is our playbook. It's simple, it's clear, and it's revolutionary. Here's what it says about advertising. Here are some things that are not allowed. A doctor cannot solicit patients directly or indirectly. He cannot use photographs on letterheads or elaborate signboards. He cannot boast about cases, operations, cures, or remedies. But here are some things which he can do. This regulation also allows doctors to make formal announcement in the press for the following: starting a practice, changing of address, temporary absence from duty, and resumption of practice. State medical councils. Think of these as our local watchdogs. They are on the ground making sure that doctors in each state play by the rules. They also perform the following: they can register medical practitioners in the state, they can take disciplinary action against the doctors, and they can work in tandem with MCI, Advertising Standards Council of India, also known as ASCI. The ASCI is not just for the doctors, it's for all advertisers. But they have got special eye on healthcare. Here's why. Healthcare is the most violative sector in advertising. 19% of all ads that were scrutinized by ASCI were from healthcare. 86% of violative healthcare ads were on digital media. While ASCI is doing an incredible job, they are not just to point out problems, they are pushing for solutions. They say, let's make advertising better, let's make it honest, and let's make it ethical. And that is what we need to do in the healthcare advertising sector. We need to be better. We need to be honest. We need to be ethical. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about us, it's about the patients, it's about their trust on us. Now let's dive into the heart of the matter. The types of advertising that doctors in India simply cannot do. It's not about restricting the doctors, it's about protecting the patients and maintaining the integrity of medical professional. Here is what is prohibited for doctors in India. Direct patient solicitation. This is a big no-no. We are talking about doctors actively chasing patients. It's like fruit vendor shouting in the streets, but for medical services. Here is what it might look like. Handing out flyers on the street, cold calling potential patients, sending unsolicited emails or messages, using aggressive marketing tactics to attract patients. Now, why is this prohibited? Because medicine isn't just a business, it's a noble profession. We don't want doctors competing for patients like they are selling smartphones. Indirect patient solicitation. Now, this is where the things get a bit tricky. Indirect solicitation is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It might look innocent, but it's still not okay. Examples include asking current patients to refer their friends and family, offering discounts for bringing in new patients, using patient testimonials to attract more patients. Remember, word of mouth referrals are fine, but actively encouraging it, that's crossing a line. Self promotion and aggrandizement. Doctors are not rock stars or politicians. They don't need to boast about their skills or achievements. The MCI regulation is very clear on this. Here is what's not allowed: claiming to be the best or number one in any field, boasting about number of surgeries performed, showcasing before and after photos of patients, using superlatives to describe their service. Your work should speak for itself. If you are good, people will know. You don't need to shout it from the rooftops. Endorsement of commercial products. This is a big one, and it's where many doctors slip up. You are a doctor, not a salesperson. Here is what you cannot do: endorsing any drug, medicine, or medical product, appearing in advertisements for health supplements, recommending specific brands of medical equipments, using your name or image to promote any commercial product. Now, why you can't use these types of marketing? And direct patient solicitation undermines the dignity of the profession. Indirect solicitation can lead to unethical patient acquisitions. Self promotion goes against the principle of humility in medicine. Product endorsements creates a conflict of interest. Here's the thing: these rules aren't there to make life difficult for doctors, they are there to protect the sanctity of doctor patient relationship. They are there to ensure that when a patient walks into your clinic, they know they are getting unbiased professional care. Now, let's talk about what doctors in India can actually do when it comes to getting the word out. It's not all about restrictions, there is plenty of room for meaningful communication. You can use formal announcements. Think of these as basic updates every doctor needs to share. It's like telling your friends and family about big changes in your life, but for your medical practice. Here's what is allowed. You can say, hey, I am open for business. You can tell your audience that you are focusing on a particular specialty. You can inform your audience about the change in address. You can inform that you will be temporarily away for conference. You can also inform that you are back and you are ready to see patients. These announcements are simple, straightforward, and to the point. No frills and fuss. Just the information patient needs to know. Public health education. Now, this is where doctors can really shine. It's not about promoting yourself, it's about educating the public. It's about making India healthier, one piece of information at a time. You can write press articles on public health. For example, you can write about importance of vaccination. You can explain the risk of diabetes in simple terms. You can discuss the benefits of regular exercise. You can conduct public lectures. For example, speaking at community centers about nutrition. You can give talks at schools about hygiene. You can address senior citizen groups about heart health. You can also promote yourself on radio, TV, and internet by talking about health topics. For example, you can participate in radio shows about mental health. You can appear on TV to discuss monsoon related illness. You can create educational videos about common health myths. Remember, the key here is education and not self promotion. It's about sharing knowledge, not showcasing your skills. It's about message, not the messenger. Specific regulations for different media. Let's dive into the nitty gritty of how doctors in India can communicate across different medias. It's not about restriction, it's about maintaining the integrity of noble profession while getting the message across. Print media. Many people say that print media is dead, but it isn't dead. It's alive and kicking, especially when it comes to medical advertising. But here's the deal, you cannot use flashy ads on newspapers and magazines. You can make formal announcements only. Keep it simple and classy. You can't use patient testimonial or before and after photos. Think of it like this, your print presence should be like a crisp white coat, professional, clean, and to the point. Electronic media. Television and radio are powerful tools, no doubt about it. But with great powers comes great responsibility. Here is how you use them right. You can participate in health education programs. You can discuss general health related topics, not your specific service. There should be no dramatized representations of your medical skills. Remember, you are a doctor and not a TV star. Your goal is to educate, not entertain. Social media. This is where things get a little bit tricky. Social media is like a double edged sword. You have to use it wisely. You can share general health information. You can avoid discussing individual patient cases. Please do not post selfies from the operating room. Think of your social media as public health bulletin board. It's not your personal diary. Signage and physical displays. Now this is where the rubber meets the road. Your clinic appearance matters. But here are the rules. Keep your signboards simple and informative. No elaborate displays or flashy neon signs. Avoid using your photograph on signboards. Here is what is allowed in a signboard: your simple name and qualification, your specialization and timings, and your contact information. And you are not allowed to put photograph on signboards, elaborate or flashy displays, and claim of being the best. Remember, your clinic should look like a place of healing and not a shopping mall. Penalties and enforcement. All right, let's talk about the consequences because in India, when it comes to medical advertising, there are rules. And when rules are broken, there are penalties. It's that simple. Because in the world of medicine, integrity is everything. It's not just about following the rules, it's about maintaining the trust that patients place in their doctors. When that trust is broken through unethical advertising, there are consequences. Let's break it down. Think of this as a yellow card in football. It is a wake up call. First time offenders often receive warnings. It's a chance to correct your mistakes. Consider it as a learning opportunity and not as a punishment. License suspension. This is where things get serious. It's about being benched in the middle of a crucial match. License suspension can range from a few days to several months. You can't practice during that period. It's a stark reminder of the importance of ethical conduct. License revocation. This is the red card. Game over. Your license to practice medicine is taken away. It is the most severe form of punishment. It is reserved for repeated violations. Fines. Sometimes the penalty hits your wallet. And in India, these fines can be substantial. It can range from thousands to lakh of rupees. The amount often depends on the severity of violation. Repeat offenders face higher fines. Now let's put these four things in perspective. When there is a minor first violation, then the possible penalty for it is warning. When there are repeated minor offenses, there can be a license suspension, which can be up to 30 days. When there is a major violation, there can be a license suspension with 30 plus days or a fine. And when there is repeated major violations, license can be revoked or there can be heavy fines. Now you might think these penalties are harsh, but here's the thing, they are not meant to punish, they are meant to protect patients from misleading information, to protect the integrity of medical profession, to protect the trust that forms the foundation of healthcare in India. All right, let's tackle the elephant in the room, the challenges and controversies surrounding ethical advertising for doctors in India. This isn't just about rules and regulations. It's about very soul of medical practice in our country. We are living in a world where information is at our fingertips. But here is the thing, in medicine, not all information is created equal. Social media right now has become a double edged sword. Doctors struggle to balance online presence with ethical constraints. Patients expect instant information, but quality can't be compromised. The challenge for doctors is to be present in the digital world without losing the essence of what it means to be the doctor. Corporate hospitals versus individual practitioners. It's a David versus Goliath story in the medical world. And let me tell you, it's not a fair fight. Corporate hospitals have massive marketing budgets. Individual doctors often cannot compete in terms of visibility. The playing field is far from level. But remember this, in medicine, bigger does not always mean better. The real challenge is ensuring that patient can find best care, not just most advertised care. Patients' right to information. Information is power, especially when it comes to health. But here's the $1 million question. How much is too much? Patients demand more transparency about treatments and outcomes. Doctors must balance honesty with risk of creating unnecessary fear. The line between informing and advertising is often blurry. We need to empower patients without overwhelming them. It's a delicate balance, but it is crucial for building trust. Balancing ethics and business needs. Let's face it, medicine is a noble profession, but it's also a business, and therein lies the problem. Doctors need to make a living. Hospitals need to fill the beds. But patient care must always come first. The challenge here is to run successful practice without compromising on ethics. It's not easy, but it's a necessity. Comparison with international standards. Let's take a global perspective on our ethical advertising regulations for doctors in India. It's time to see how we measure up to the world stage and where we can push the envelope. Similarities with global and ethical standards. We are not reinventing the wheel here. India's ethical standards for medical advertising share a common ground with the rest of the world, where patients' welfare is prioritized over commercial interests. Global standards also prohibit false or misleading claims. Maintaining the dignity of the medical profession is also upheld. These are the universal truths of medical ethics. We are speaking the same language as the rest of the world when it comes to core principles. But here is where it gets interesting. India marches to the beat of its own drum in some areas. There are stricter limitations on self promotion. There is more conservative approach to social media use. There is less flexibility in advertising formats. Potential areas for improvement. Now, this is where we need to think different. We are not just following, we are leading. Here is where India can step up its game. We have clearer guidelines for digital communication. We have a more balanced approach to corporate versus individual advertising. We have enhanced transparency for patients without compromising ethics. Remember, improvement does not mean westernization. It means finding our own path that respects our culture while embracing the progress. In India, we have a unique opportunity. We can learn from the global stage without losing our identity. We can also innovate within our ethical framework. We can set new standards for the world to follow. Think about it. In a country where doctors are revered, where healthcare is rapidly evolving, we have a chance to create a model of ethical advertising that is uniquely Indian and universally respected. To all the policymakers, doctors, and healthcare leaders out there, this is your moment. Don't just follow the rules, shape them. Don't just meet the standards, set them. Because in India, we don't just practice medicine, we elevate it. Alright, let's talk about the future of ethical advertising for doctors in India. This isn't just about rules and regulations, it's about shaping the very soul of healthcare communication in our country. Potential regulatory changes. The winds of change are blowing and they are blowing fast. Here's what we might see: stricter guidelines to online presence, more clarity on what constitutes advertising in the digital age, potential relaxation of some traditional restrictions. But remember, these changes aren't about making life difficult for doctors. They are about ensuring that in this rapidly changing world, the integrity of medical profession remains intact. Evolving ethical considerations. Ethics isn't a static concept. It evolves with the society. And in India, we are seeing this revolution happen right before our eyes. There is a greater emphasis on patient privacy in advertising. There is more focus on informed consent for testimonials. There is increased scrutiny of claims made in advertisements. The key here is balance. We need to find that sweet spot between informing patients and maintaining the dignity of the profession. Impact of technological advancements. Here we can't ignore the impact of technology. It's like trying to ignore an elephant in the room. Here is how technology might shape the future of medical advertising in India. The current scenario is there is limited online presence and there is generic health information where the communication is only one way. But the future holds more possibilities. There could be comprehensive digital profiles with personalized health contents and interactive patient engagements. But here is the thing: no matter how advanced we get, the core principles remain the same. It's about trust, it's about care, and it's about putting patients first. Alright, now let's wrap this up. To all the doctors out there, embrace these changes. See them as an opportunity to connect with your patients in a new and meaningful way. Use social media to educate, to inspire, to make real difference in people's lives. But always remember the ethics that form the backbone of your noble profession. And to the patients, stay informed, ask questions, demand transparency, but also appreciate the fine line that doctors must walk between informing you and maintaining their professional ethics.